What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Mike Robinson, and this is another episode of Let's Take a Walk. I hope everybody had an amazing Thanksgiving. I definitely did. A little bit under the weather, but still thankful nonetheless. Today, another great guest. She's a Christian recording artist, a praise and worship leader. She's an entrepreneur. She's a CEO, a hustler, a businesswoman to the highest degree. My new sister.
All right.
Miss Michelle Prather. For those of you who may not be familiar with Miss Prather, I'm going to give her a moment to kind of reintroduce herself and just give a little background on who she is and some of the things that she has going on. So with that being said, you go ahead.
Yes, sir. Really, it's so simple. My name is Michelle Prather. Born in Tacoma, Washington, grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, and that's where I started my musical journey with. Back then, it was Wiley Dickerson and the Voices of Binghamton, which turned into Kevin Davidson and the Voices of Binghamton, and I sang with him for over 20 years.
Wow.
And from that faithfulness, Kurt Carr saw me when he would come to Memphis to minister, and I was asked to be a part of the Kurt Carr Singers, which that reigned for over 15 years. And so now I'm here, and in between I was still doing, Michelle Prather, but the visibility from both aggregations really put me in place. And so I'm just glad to be here.
I'm so glad. Thank you so much for coming on the platform. I really appreciate it, because I know that you are currently, out of town doing some events. You've been called to duty. So
right.
I appreciate you coming on the show, but we're gonna get to that. But
yes.
let's talk about the beginnings. Like, how much time was it between the time that you started singing to the point between the time that you started singing and the point where you felt like you were ready for like the main stage?
Whoa. So I started when I was 12.
Wow.
They had called a special rehearsal for the Voices of Binghamton, which is a small community in Memphis, kind of one of the rough neighborhoods. So I love God, but I learned how to fight too. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But so, at the age of 12, you don't know. You're still being asked what you want to be when you grow up, and all of this. I never said music, but some way, somehow it became my life. And so from 12 all over into my 20s is when I really realized, oh, this could be something that I could do on a different stage, full time, and become one of the greatest to do it.
Wow, that's the first time I've ever heard that. But that is a lofty goal, to be the best.
Well, see, no, I didn't say the best. I said one of the greatest.
One of the greatest.
And this is the thing, because you speak that over your life, you might not see the Grammy stage. God didn't see. He was in the lowest of lowest.
Right.
He was in the place where the woman could touch the hem of his garment. So if he had been so high, he would never been able to heal the 10 lepers, or people as he was traveling along. And so I think we get it twisted if we don't make a certain stage, we feel like we haven't accomplished, and that's not true. God has opened these doors for a reason, and whatever level it is, you have to be appreciative for that level and execute to the fullest.
That's a fact. That is a fact. Thank you. Thank you for getting me straight.
No.
Get me straight. That's right. Get me straight.
Listen, I don't need to do.
I did not say that. Get it right. I get it. I get it. Absolutely. Absolutely. So so when I have guests on, obviously I try to research them as much as possible. I listen to
Mhm.
whatever, like in your case, you're an artist, so I listened to your music and saw some of the content that you put out and stuff like that. And I was listening and I was like, man, she really, really has a jazzy style. Um, who would you say influences your style of music, this type of music that you create? What would you say is the biggest influence?
Oh, you know what? I think it just depends on what I'm recording and who I'm recording it for, if it's for myself or for other individuals. I kind of
Hmm.
tap into the vision of the song.
Hmm.
So growing up, I didn't have well, my music teacher told me this. She said, never listen to one style of music or one artist because you will begin to sound and imitate
Hmm.
that artist.
That's right.
So keep it open. Keep it open. And that's been my whole motto. I listen to everybody from Mahalia Jackson to the Clark sisters to Whitney Houston, to even Al Fantasia. I mean, anyone that can put music out there, I'm going to soak it up like a sponge. But
Yeah.
not just one individual, but all. From Donnie McClurkin to, Marette Brown Clark. Like everybody has a, a thing in within me, and so I just try to give it back out in whatever genre or whatever way that I can.
That is amazing. That's an interesting point that you brought up. Listen, when it comes to listening to music. So is there a point where an artist should just stop listening to certain type of music? Like how much of a challenge is it for you not to go after a sound? Like you hear a sound that seems to be kind of successful for some of your peers, and the natural inclination is to try to maybe do your version of that or whatever. How much of a challenge has that been for you up to this point?
It's never been a challenge because if you just have a certain sound and you're just almost sounding like an individual, your your growth will be there. That's the extent of your growth. But the if you broaden your horizons and listen to other people, you'll be able to pull in the church. You'll be able to pull in the jazzy. You'll be able to pull in worship. You'll even be able to pull in a little bit of quartet. You have a broader, spectrum of things and music where you can listen and become your own sound.
Right.
You have these examples, but you are creating your own sound.
That's a fact. That is a fact. So you have a new single out, Bless the Lord.
Yes.
Tell me about that. How did that come about? What was the creative process? Tell me how you came up with that. Like I said, I listened to it and I was like, man, you could tell there's a lot of fusion going on. Like you can hear the
All right.
jazz riffs in there, but you can also hear the elements of the Clark sisters, like the rich background vocals and the strong harmonies, strong background vocals and all of that. So like tell us about that whole thing, that created Bless the Lord.
So Bless the Lord is a part of a project. It's an aggregation of songs that I was
Mhm.
supposed to record in 2020 April, and that's when the pandemic happened.
Mhm.
The week before my live recording, my first live recording ever, the pandemic happened. I said,
Wow.
"Oh my God!" And we didn't know what was happening in the world. It was like, "What? We finna shut down?" Like,
Mhm.
and that's what happened. And so, my brother Nate Bean lives in Nashville. He pretty much wrote every song on the record that we were going to cut. And so
Mm,
from that time, I just been releasing a couple. I've released two songs from the night that it was supposed to occur. And so, I was definitely sad. I was sad. That's a real place, your first live recording, and then what? The world shuts down. But
right.
it was for a purpose. And so, I haven't gotten, I didn't give up, and that's why we released Thank You last year. And so I
Hmm.
just dropped Bless the Lord a couple months ago.
Wow. So, so what has the reception been like for Bless the Lord? What have you heard from people since you released it?
They was like, first of all, who's singing background? Because those 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 guys are really really singing. I got to give a shout out to Zay. He is in Sacramento, and his team came together. Thank God for technology where you don't have to meet in person anymore. You can just go to a studio, record it, and send it off.
Mm,
So him and his team, they put together some amazing vocals out of the directionship of Nate Bean, and all I had to do was come and lay the lead, and people have really, really, really enjoyed this new music. You almost want to be in a car with your top down, driving in
mm.
California, bless this name,
Yeah, I
hallelujah.
see you thought this out.
Right, right.
Yeah, that's amazing. Um, a lot of times, um, when we do these things, when we go out and we put music out and or whatever the situation is, you just never know the response that you're going to get, especially from the
Right.
people that are closest to you. Um, so because a lot of times, and you'll be surprised how many conversations that I have with artists on this very thing. Um, you feel like the people that are closest to you are going to automatically latch on and invest or whatever, but that's not
Hmm.
a lot of times that's not the case. It's you got to go away and come back, and then you got to go away and let that those people support you. Then you come back, and then people
Hmm.
seem to start to take you serious. Has that been your story as well in your journey? Have you had to go away and then come back?
Well, you know what? I think um, support is different. What about the times off camera when you were making a mistake, or you maybe lied, or you cheated, or whatever that looks like off camera?
Hmm.
You had these group of people that supported you through your downfall.
Right.
So I'm glad that I have the level of support that I do have on every level. I'm not saying that I don't want my friends to buy my CD or support me musically, but I'm grateful for the areas that they did support to keep my mind together, to support to keep the support from people out beyond my four walls. You know what I'm saying? So those people that are probably not spoken of all of the time are the ones that's kept me in line in order to present to the world this gift, this song. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for what I have around me. I'm grateful for the people that I don't know. I'm grateful for the people that talk and think they know. I'm grateful for everybody because it all works together for the good.
Awesome. That is amazing.
Yes, sir.
Um,
Yes, sir.
so you were born and raised in Tacoma, but you ended up in Tennessee.
Yes.
So with Nashville being like the Atlanta of gospel music, uh, what's the atmosphere like down there for you as an artist? in such a rich and robust area when it comes to um, Christian music and you know that whole thing. What's it like for you? What's the atmosphere like for you?
I mean, the atmosphere is amazing. Um, what I love about Nashville is just not one genre of music. They kind of hit all of it. Country music is definitely on the highest peak when it
Mhm.
comes to Nashville because this is the city where the Godfather, the Ryman, auditorium is where everything kind of evolved, and so they cater a lot around country music here. So you have gospel, you have blues, but it's really those live bands that you can get right there on Broadway, you know,
Mhm.
that just represents a lot of music. And so I really, really get my experience outside of Nashville, different cities, different venues and arenas and different things like that. So I get some base training here in Nashville, but my experience goes beyond the city.
So I'm going to talk to you about a couple of subjects that I like. Again, I talk to um, all the artists about because I'm interested to know, your take on it. So the
Hmm.
first thing, right? You have R&B music, or quote unquote secular music, and you
Yeah.
have Christian music. And as time has progressed, we have um the styles of gospel have changed. It doesn't necessarily sound like your grandma's or your great grandma's
Hmm.
music. It's kind of like catered to a maybe a younger demographic sometimes, and to the hip hop crowd, and that type
Mm.
of thing, right? Um, but also the physical imaging of the artist has changed.
Mm.
So particularly for the women, it happens for the men too, but for the women, right? You have women who are naturally curvy, and you know they can't what no matter what they wear, they it's going to show off your gifts.
Right,
You know what
right.
I'm saying? Um, but and on a further note, um, you have some. I've spoken to some who will say they wear the labels, they wear the Gucci and the Prada and stuff when they go out to these events. While they're on the other hand, they got people who will say, "I wear the bare minimum because I don't want that to be the focal point because
Hmm.
that's here, blah 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 blah." So what is your how do you when you looking at your itinerary and you do these different events or whatever, how do you see yourself when it comes to imaging? Like, are you how conscious of you how conscious are you of what we as the audience may see you as? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you think about that when you're putting your outfits together or when you're doing your appearances and stuff like that? Because again, like I
Hmm.
said, you know, that whole imaging thing has changed a lot over the years. And you have women, like, I don't know if you saw that a couple years ago when Erica Campbell wore that
Right.
white dress, you know what I'm saying? That was really a big uproar on that. So like,
Well,
so like,
uh,
where do you
I,
see, like, what are your,
you
what,
got a lot loaded in this one question. You,
okay.
well, I'm saying, and it's good. Um, the thing about it is, when Erica Campbell and Mary was introduced, they weren't only introduced as just church artists. They
Mhm.
were introduced to the world. Their song was on FM stations.
Right.
So it was only the church that had a problem with, the white dress, which
Mhm.
um, she didn't change. She didn't back down. She's still been the same. And her music has represented past the four walls of the church.
Mhm.
It goes into the highways and byways. their music does. So I've always applauded them, and I keep applauding them. Even with Kurt Franklin, with the family and God's property, he was based church. But when he became an entity of just Kurt Franklin, his music reached beyond. So that's why when he just did the tour, he was out there dancing and you know doing it, because he's not just a representation in the church, he's a representation for the world.
Right.
And his ministry, it just speaks for itself. For me, I used to sing in the choir. So with the choir, um I love the horn playing.
That's my daughter. Ah.
At first I thought it was some music you were playing.
No, 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 no. Let me mute that. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So from uh thinking about myself, when I started with a choir, I had on a robe, So in a robe, you can kind of get away with, a whole lot. You covered up in the robe, you got your shoes on. But when I became a solo artist, I did have to keep in mind, that my family has been blessed, you know, for in different aspects, and body parts was one. And so I had to be careful, what I wore and how I represented, my ministry. So if I keep wearing dresses and make sure I put shapewear on under that, that's something that I'm accustomed to, because I don't want to offend anyone, nor do I want to be a distraction. I keep my toes covered. I don't wear my shoes, out, my feet out, because people have, fetishes. They got a foot fetish, they got nail fetish. It's just crazy. So you have to be conscious of that, when you're ministering. I'm not wearing no leggings, not to sing, because that could be a distraction. Praise the Lord. So I get what you're saying. Across the board, everybody's different, and you have to respect a person and what they bring and how they bring it. Jacayla Carr, she's shapely, and one thing she's gonna do is wear some heels, and you're gonna see the goodness of the Lord, and that's what we'll say. But hopefully, it's not a distraction to those that are out, that are watching, that are trying to enjoy ministry, because we're blessed. So we have to keep it in mind, and I know I do. So keep me in your prayers. But that's just the way I'm a roll with it.
That's a great and interesting point. I'm all and like I said, I'm always curious to know how artists kind of navigate that whole thing, because a lot of it, like you said, it's things that you just cannot help. You know what I'm
That's right.
saying? But the things that you can help. You try to kind of like work with those things. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, Going forward, let's talk about like kind of a taboo subject within the Christian music community.
Mm-hmm.
Honorariums. Um,
Mm.
First off, do you feel like the church has gotten to a point where they have recognized and respected the presence of a praise and worship leader in a service? Do they regard the music the same way or comparable to the person that's bringing the word? So let's say you get called to go to a certain church, and
Mm-hmm.
they call you to come in, and they call Pastor Missionary Banana to come in.
Mm.
So they say, hey, Miss Prather, uh, let me give you. Can we give you? We want to give you $150 to come.
So let
But
me
then
stop you. Mm-mm.
But
Cause
then they
see,
get
you can't.
let me give you the full scenario though. So
Oh
they
no.
they get offer you like I don't know 150, but then they get offered Pastor Missionary Banana 3 times. Offered him like 2,000 or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you feel like the presence of a praise and worship team is being, I guess, respected, or have we come to a point where praise and worship is being respected as an entity that is needed within any service or whatever? Like, how do you see that?
But see, your question is kind of two-folded again because you're asking about the praise team, but then you said if I'm invited as an
Okay,
entity.
well, yeah,
Okay.
you specifically forget the praise
Okay.
and worship team, but
Well,
you specifically.
again, it goes on how long you've been out here, what you've been doing. So I can speak from the praise team aspect. There are some people that will probably never get compensated for being a praise and worship leader at their home church. Now, if they're amazing and good enough, if somebody sees that and want to bring them to their church and begin to compensate them as a worship leader, hey, I think it's a great thing. You take it because you've served. You served at your local assembly. Um, the praise and worship team is what it is. These are volunteers. We should treat them, with the utmost respect because they're giving us their time, and their talents, and we should be grateful. So that's that part. You won't get paid for being in a choir. Of course, we're going to compensate the musicians because they could be anywhere, and we value their time. You know,
Mhm.
so people get caught up in that stuff. I don't. I was at my church. I didn't look to get a check because, first of all, we were a smaller church. Why would I look for money from my church when we need to do something else with that?
Well, what I'm saying is more so when you're invited out, not necessarily
No,
at your local assembly, but
right. No, I got you. I was just kind of piggybacking on when you first started. You started with the praise team part.
mhm.
Now, as an artist, I've been out here for over 30 years. I've seen great stages. And so I do have an honorarium attached, that can be, taken up or down or whatever, whatever. Um, I don't get involved in what they give the preacher because if I'm going to a house where they're not musically knowledgeable of a lot of stuff, I'm probably going to get the latter end because
Mhm.
they do love preaching. Um, you know, a lot of preachers love preachers. And so they're going to take care of those preachers. But before coming into that house, I've already negotiated what I'm needed, what's needed of me. And so I'm fine. I don't look at that. You get in trouble. You'll get in major trouble trying to figure out who got this, who was paid that, baby. Worry about the little girl in the back seat. She was in the it was one of the TikTok videos or something. She said, "Baby, worry about yourself." Trying to help her get her seatbelt on. No, you worry about yourself. So that's where I am. I'm going. I just really really try to continue to do what he's called me to do on the level that he has commissioned me to do it, and I'm really really blessed. I'm really blessed.
Mhm. Um, Going forward, with your ministry, um, you obviously you reach and you come into contact with loads of people.
Yes.
Who would you say are that you are most surprised knew who you were? To find who are you most surprised to find out knew who you were?
Um. At one point, it was Donnie McClurkin.
Mm,
I did not. I had no clue. At one point, it was Mary Mary,
mm,
and they knew not just they knew my name, and so um it brings, a special place, brings you to a special place in your heart when, you've seen people watching, and they know who you are and know you by name. So definitely grateful.
Wow. So, so you said Donnie McClurkin and Mary, they knew
Um,
exactly who you were. Wow, that's
yep.
amazing. That must have
Dorinda
been
Clark. I
wow.
mean, yeah, just, you like Kurt Franklin,
Mm,
people
wow.
knowing you and knowing you by name, and honored to share the stage with you. And so those are moments, that I'll always cherish.
Mm. So at this point in your career, um, this is kind of a at this point in your career, do you feel like you have developed into the artist that you that you want to be? Like, do you feel like you're not necessarily with the amount of attention that you get? I'm just talking about like personally. Like,
Mm.
where do you see yourself personally as an artist at this point? Like from a level standpoint, like do you feel like you are on par with what you imagine your ministry to be at this certain point, or like
Hmm.
what is how do you see yourself as an artist at this point in your career?
I think, when you're little and you have dreams and aspirations, you want to see them come to pass. There's different prophecies that's, been spoken. I just take myself out of a certain stage, if that makes sense. But I
Hmm.
want to be remembered as, she touched me in a place where I turned things around.
Hmm.
I've gotten inboxes from people that said, I wanted to commit suicide, but I saw your ministry and you changed the trajectory of the way I was going.
Right.
Moments like that, I don't care what, I don't win. If I am out here making a difference in somebody's life, that's the goal. That's the ultimate pleasure in anything that I will ever do. When I wanted to give up and I'm trying to encourage someone else not to, and they don't, I turn that thing around for myself as
Hmm.
well. And so I've never been, one, I appreciate the independent levels, of awards won. People don't have to vote for you, and they don't have to do any of this. But there's a larger group that loves you versus the group that that don't like you. You know what I'm saying? We'll focus more so on them than
Right.
the difference and the impact that you are making.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. What would you say is the most common misconception that people have about you?
Um, I don't know. Sometimes you can be too nice.
Hmm.
Sometimes you could be, just I am such a forgiver, you know. Um, and the people may not understand when someone was supposed to throw me away and they didn't.
Right.
I have that same compassion for a person that I should have thrown away and I didn't. You know, um, people try to hurt you when they're hurt
Right. Right.
or when they don't understand or get, um, we're at this certain place and we need to, probably go different ways and or just whatever. And so a lot of people don't understand that. They don't understand that. So now I need to get you back. I need to hurt you, and I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna send it to all your friends, and I'm gonna and it's just. But when you get back to the point, has that healed you? What you
Right.
try to cause hurt for me, has that healed you? Has that healed you? So go get healing, and the things that we do, we won't do. We won't try to hurt the individual back because we're hurt. No, I just need healing. I need some healing. So yeah, that's a whole nother, we need a whole nother segment for that.
Uh, do you are you the artist that listens to their own music? Do you listen to your own music?
I I do, but it's hard. I'm such a critique, and I'm like,
Right.
oh, I could have did this, and dang, that could have went right there. And so, but yeah, I'll go back and listen and encourage myself, as if I should say that.
Do you hear? Do you feel like you hear what we hear? Are you at the
No,
point where you feel like you hear what we
no,
hear?
never, probably never ever will. I'll never hear what y'all hear. Y'all be like, man, Michelle, go, and I'm over there like,
Uh,
dang, I should have did this, and oh, I could have said that, and
right.
just, yeah. Oh
Who is
man,
who is uh who is Michelle Prather's dream collaboration?
ooh, maybe Kimberell. Um, love some Fantasia. I would, I wouldn't even have to sing with them, but I would love to sit and just speak and talk to the Clark sisters.
Wow. Wow.
Yep.
So would you say that they are kind of like your most pronounced influence? Like, is that who you listen to the most, or is that,
Well, that's the thing. I listen to everybody, from
mm,
Kim, to the Clarks, to Crystal Aiken. I mean, I hit the board running.
mhm,
Um, Leandria, like that's my girl. Um, but I don't get infused with one entity. I
right?
like to keep it open, so that I can be my best self, as well.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So currently, you're in Richmond, Virginia, getting ready to blow the Richmond, Virginia people away. Um,
Man.
what do you got going on? And tell us a little bit about what you got going on in Richmond this weekend.
So yesterday for Thanksgiving, I flew in and I was a part of one of the greatest leaders that has ever impacted my life. His name is Bishop Moore, and we were at his Thanksgiving service. And so this Sunday, I'll be at Pastor Taylor's church, Fountain Worship Center, at 11:30 a.m. And
Mhm.
then in the afternoon, I'm going to Hope Christian Ministries with Pastor Mark Breen, and that'll be at 1:30. So we're gonna have our shouting shoes on all day.
I know that's right. I know that's right. So do you still enjoy the travel? Like, I mean, I'm sure you go here and there and everywhere. Is it still fun for you?
Listen, it is still amazing. I love it. To whom much is given, much is required. And so
Right.
I'm required to do this, and he has given it to me. And so I take charge in it. Um, I don't have a bad day when it comes to traveling. I was in Oakland, California, drove over to San Francisco, caught the red eye on Sunday night, and was back
Mhm.
at work on Monday morning.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
So, you enjoy moments like this where you get a chance to be around family and see friends and rest. And so this is your days of rest. And then we're back at it.
Wow. Okay. So, in your career, what would you say is the best piece of advice you got and the worst advice you got?
Um, some of the best advice in my career, and it has nothing to do with singing. I went to a Church of
Mhm.
God in Christ church, and I thought I had on some, strong foundation underneath my clothes. And one of the mothers She brought me some foundation the next night. She said, "You're up before these men and women of God, and we want to make sure that you are the best that you can be." She said, "And you are, you're gifted. And so we want to make sure that it is covered and tight." And when I tell you, we ask God to make us ready. Help us, help me be ready, Lord. I want to be ready. Use me.
Hmm.
And as soon as when you get something like that, you can't take offense
Right.
because that's a part of help me. I need your help.
Right.
So
Right.
um that really, really blessed me. I don't think I've ever gotten anything that was the worst advice,
Hmm.
because I can always take even those situations and turn it into a positive and
Right.
use it for my good as well.
Well, speaking of, you said the church mother that came to you about, how you could be perceived. So, like, being a single woman, what is that like? Being a single woman in ministry as an artist, like, has that been a challenge for you? Trying to cultivate relationships, like, do you ever have to, weed people out? Like, what, as far as, male admirers and stuff like that.
Oh gosh, yeah, you have them. You have your inboxes and your DMs and all of that stuff, and you
Hmm.
just politely, give them a, God bless you, thank you. You know, you don't indulge in it. I think if you open the door, they're gonna walk in, and
Right.
so um, you just should know how to respond, to those people, and hopefully they won't get offended, and you keep going. I don't I'm grateful for, for the attention, but at the end of the day, um, if it's not about ministry, then I don't have to entertain it,
That's
and
a
I can say thank you and keep going.
that's a
So
fact.
being single, it's what I welcome into my world. It's what
Right.
I want and who I want in it, and so
Mm.
you know how to move and navigate if you have that mindset. Let me tell you this. Kevin Davidson told me years ago, I was getting ready to go on tour. He
Hmm.
said, "Michelle, do not be labeled out there, by anyone. Whatever you do on the road, they're going to label you as that." He said, "So go to your room and keep what you do private." He said, "I'm not telling you to mess up." He said, "But if it's private, no one will know."
Wow. Wow.
And so that's just been my motto. I don't invite people up. That's not my motive. My intention is to go out and try to represent Christ the best that I can, and keep a level of visibility where people can respect the gift, and want to see the God, inside of me.
Okay. All right, Miss Prather. We are here. Let's take a walk, and I'm sitting here with the incomparable Miss Michelle Prather, the praise and worship leader, the artist, the entrepreneur. You name it, she does it. Um, at this point in your career, and I only have two more questions for you. At this
Yes, sir.
point in your at this point in your career, what is the hardest thing for you not to do at this point in your career?
I don't know. The hardest thing for me not to do. Uh, I, I guess explain when you say not to do, like.
Like some people say, "Oh, it's hard for me not to procrastinate," or "It's hard for me not to worry about certain aspects." It's
Right.
not. It's hard for me not to, like you said earlier, critique my own music. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing.
Oh, gotcha. Well, I mean, all of those things that you name, I just think that's just the people that we are. It's hard for me not to think um, kind of what I'm representing. Is it, are you enjoying it? Because we're such level of people. We love people to a certain degree, and we're like, oh my God, did you enjoy it? Did I need to do this? Not, and I'm not asking because again, I want the body of Christ to be pleased.
Right.
And
Right.
so sometimes we take on those things, and it's not for us. We're to cast those cares upon God because He
Right.
cares about us.
Right.
So I don't want to be in a spot where oh, did she? Mm-mm. He says, if I be lifted up, I'll draw. I'll
Right.
do the drawing. All men unto me. And so that's where I am. If I go out and lift His name up, He'll do the rest.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Well, this is my last official question. It's a question that I ask all my guests. I just want you to take a moment and think about it and just give me the most honest and transparent answer that you can give me, okay?
Yes, sir.
Um, Here's the question. What would have to happen in your life if it hasn't happened already for you to consider your life a success? What does success look like for you specifically?
Success for me, I've always been about family. My mother passed away in 2017, and my whole goal was to buy her either a brand new house or a brand new truck.
Hmm.
So I believe that mantle is now passed on to my auntie. Her name is Vicky Hunt. That is, she's one of, I have uncles and aunts. She's just one that has beat death so many times. And if
Hmm.
when she hear this interview, she gonna scream because she's still here. And I made a promise to her that I would get her, one of those things. So success
Hmm.
financially for me would be that, and so that I could bless, my family. I have a son. He's 27.
Hmm.
Woo! Anybody with kids out there, just give me a high five. That's all. That's all. Just high five. He's 27, and I want to, I want to make his. I want him to, be proud of his mom. And the
Right.
accomplishments that I've been afforded. So that right there, family, I know once things would really, really get to a certain, place and I
Hmm.
can bless them, that's good for me.
Wow. It's amazing. That is amazing. Well, I want to thank you for coming on and taking a moment out because I know you got a lot of things lined up and probably want to rest. So, if somebody wants to reach out to you, maybe they heard something on here that they might want you to elaborate on, or maybe they want to
Hmm.
collaborate on you with you on some level, or try to book you for an event, whatever the case. How can they get in touch with you?
Getting in touch with me is easy. All Michelle Prather platforms. It's Michelle Levette Prather on Facebook. It's Michelle Prather 75 on Instagram. It is Shell 75 on Twitter. I'm just the same across the board. Prather672 at iCloud.com is my email. And I always respond. Ain't that right? I responded to you, didn't I, Mike?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I can vouch for that. Absolutely. I can vouch for that.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, it was I'm easy, and I look forward to doing ministry for many, many more years to come.
Awesome. Well, again, I want to thank you for taking the time to come out and sit down with us and just kind of letting us kind of like pick your brain and see the who's, what's, and whys of Michelle Prather. Um, is there any last words that you want to leave with the people before we sign off?
I would like to say, in this walk of life, um, surrender is just the best thing that you could ever do. Um, we must surrender a lot of things in order to keep a level of peace and sanity um in what we do. So I surrender all, I surrender all to thee, my blessed Savior. Oh, I surrender all. Oh, I surrender all. Mm, I surrender all.
See, that I was not expecting that, but amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, Lord.
Again, um I want to thank you for coming on, man, and taking the time out to chat with me and whatever. And we kind of talked offline um about some of the responses that I've gotten, when I reach out. I was so, I was so very appreciative that you responded, not only that you responded back, but you
Mm,
actually accepted the invitation, because there are so many that, well, there are some that don't, so
mm-hmm.
for that, I truly, truly, really appreciate that. Um, Going forward, I wish you much blessings on everything that you have going forward, and even the things that you have not even thought of yet.
My
Um,
God.
wish you much blessings on that as well. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And I appreciate you.
Nope.
And
It's my pleasure.
and happy belated Thanksgiving, although every day is a day of Thanksgiving.
Every day. Every day. No.
Yes. Um, on that note, I wish you a great day. I hope your weekend is blessed. I pray that your weekend be blessed. It is blessed. Not that I hope, it is blessed. It's already blessed.
Yes, sir.
So thank you again. I appreciate you.
No, thank you so much for having me. And I look forward to coming back with some, more new music that we can talk about and how God
Absolutely.
has taken me to the next place after this
Absolutely.
interview.
Thank you for reminding me. I want to extend this invitation to you that anytime you want to, promote new music or any endeavors that you're going in, please feel free. This is an open invitation for you to come on and let me know, hey Mike, I'm doing this or that or the other, and I got you.
Hmm.
We can come on here and we can talk about it till the cows come home.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, again, I appreciate, your graciousness and your professionalism, and I just see so much more happening for you. You
Yes, sir.
definitely have the fire. There's a fire. You know what I mean? So just keep moving. It throws some people off, but that's what you're supposed. You are who you're supposed to be.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So again, you have a good evening and an even better weekend, and we will be in touch.
Yes, sir. You have a blessed one as well. Thank you.
Thank you. There you have it, guys. Another great interview with another great guest. I want to shout out to Miss Michelle Prather. If you look in the comment section, you have her the link to her website as well as the YouTube links for her single "Bless the Lord." Please check it out. Please share it with friends. Please let's blow this up. Let's blow it up. You know what I mean? She is an independent artist. She's doing it all on her own, but she is making it do what it do, baby. Ray Ray Charles style. But as I implore you guys all the time, if there's a vision, if there's a plan, something that God has placed within you that's kept keeping you up at night, that that's bothering you to the point where you got to do it, I implore you to do it, man. Get up and do it, man. Any vision that God gives you, He will provide provision, but you got to make a move. you got to do it. You got to stand up. You got to walk in it. You got to be it. If he calls you an architect, you got to be an architect. You got to do it. If he calls you a singer, you got to be a singer. If you got to be a writer, so on and so forth. You walk in. It's time that you walk in it. So I encourage you all. With that being said, man, I want to thank you guys for coming on the platform and checking us out. And I will see you guys in the next go round. In the meantime, let's take a walk.